Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force, JTF. My name is Chaim ben Pesach. This video is dedicated to elevating the souls of Simcha Chazdai, Pesach Vansir, Haramir Kahana, Bari Hoffman, Ruven Hoffman, and Yosef ben Meir. On this week's program, there are two subjects we want to speak about. First, the story of a good and loyal Jew who has just been arrested for daring to criticize a lying snitch. We'll explain. And secondly, why Donald Trump is even worse than Hillary Clinton on the so-called gay issue, and why that's so dangerous for the future of the United States, Israel, and Western civilization. But first, let's talk about this incident in Israel, which really shows how there is so much anti-democratic repression that takes place against Jewish dissidents, against good and loyal Jews in Israel. As all of us know, Arab Muslim Nazi terrorists have been stabbing and murdering Jews, have been slaughtering Jews throughout the land of Israel, and have openly proclaimed that their goal is genocide. Their goal is to exterminate the entire Jewish people and destroy the state of Israel. Now, there was an incident in which one of these Arab Muslim Nazi terrorists took out a knife to stab and murder Jews, and he was stopped by a brave Israeli soldier, and the Israeli soldier not only stopped him, but shot him to death. The Israeli soldier was Elor Azariah, and this Israeli soldier was then arrested and charged with murder. The Israeli soldier who shot to death an Arab terrorist that had a knife and that was trying to stab and murder Jews, this Israeli soldier was then charged with murder. Now, there's a rat in the case who's testifying against him. This Israeli major in the Israeli army is testifying against the Israeli soldier. Now, let me give you a little more background on this. The Israeli soldier is supported by the vast majority of Israeli Jews, according to the polls. The vast majority of Israeli Jews were outraged over the arrest of this brave Israeli soldier, who, by the way, is a supporter of our beloved leader, Moreno Verabenu, Haramir Kahana Zecher Tzaddik V'Kadosh Livracha Hashem Yikom Damo, someone who posted very favorable things quoting our leader, Rabbi Kehana. But anyway, this great Israeli soldier is now on trial for murder because he killed an armed Arab terrorist who sought to murder Jews. And the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Defense Minister, the former Defense Minister, Moshe Ya'alon, the current Defense Minister, Avigdor Lieberman, all of them are against this Israeli soldier. All of them are saying, no, this is the proper judicial process and it's appropriate that he was arrested. And these political leaders are all going against the will of the vast majority of the people of Israel, who say that this is an outrage, that this soldier should have gotten a medal. This soldier should be commended for doing what he did. Every Israeli soldier should have orders to immediately shoot and kill Arab terrorists that seek to attack Jews and murder Jews. Any Arab terrorist who seeks to do harm to Jews should be killed on the spot. Because if you don't kill them, then Bibi Netanyahu, Pipi, well, we call him Bibi's, we call him Pipi, Pipi, the coward, and all the other cowardly political leaders of Israel will put him in a 5-star hotel that they call a so-called Israeli prison, where the conditions in the prison are literally like the conditions in a hotel: air-conditioned rooms, cable television, their own cell phones, their halal meat, special halal Muslim meat, special meals brought in, visitors every day. I mean, just unbelievable conditions there, like in a hotel. And then after spending a couple of years in the hotel, they're then released in a so-called prisoner exchange by Netanyahu. That's what happens to Arab terrorists that are captured. So we don't want to capture Arab terrorists. We want Arab terrorists to be immediately liquidated, to be immediately killed by Israeli soldiers. That is the proper thing that should be done. That's the only sane thing that should be done. And this Israeli soldier did what is his duty as an Israeli soldier, to protect the Jewish people. He shot and killed the Arab terrorist. And there's no dispute that this was an Arab terrorist who was intending to murder Jews. That there's no dispute about. And can you imagine? And he's on trial for killing the Arab terrorist that wanted to murder Jews? In any event, they got this Israeli major in the Israeli army to testify against the soldier. And his name is Tom Naaman, Yamach Shmo v'zichro, which means may his name and memory be obliterated, because we give this special blessing, quote unquote, to informers. You're not allowed to snitch and rat on your fellow Jews. You're not allowed to do that. Especially a Jewish hero who was trying to save the Jewish people and who did the right thing against our enemies. To snitch and rat on them is the lowest thing any Jew can do. But Netanyahu is defending the Israeli major, and the new defense minister of Israel, Lieberman, is defending the Israeli major, and the Israeli Bolshevik news media is defending the Israeli major who is snitching. And why is the Israeli major snitching on this Jewish soldier? And why is he, and he's actually lying about the Israeli soldier. Why is he snitching and lying and trying to implicate the Israeli soldiers so that the Israeli soldier will go to prison for many years? Why is he trying to do that? He's doing that because this is his way to get it, to be advanced, to be promoted in the Israeli army. If you're a snitch and a rat and against your fellow Jews, that's how you get promoted in the Israeli army. All the generals in Israel now are all leftists. They're all left-wing, self-hating Jewish traitors. To be a general, you've got to be a left-wing, self-hating Jewish traitor. You can't be a loyal, good Jew. Now, this particular snitch, this rat, Tom Naaman, again, he's doing something which the vast majority of Israeli Jews, the vast majority of the Israeli public doesn't like what's going on. They don't like the prosecution of this heroic Israeli soldier who killed the Arab terrorists. They don't like what's going on. But the Israeli military and the Israeli generals and the Israeli news media and the Israeli establishment and the Israeli politicians, like Naftalli Bennett is defending the Israeli major who's snitching and ratting, and Netanyahu and Lieberman and all the other politicians in the Likud, the traitor Likud party, and yes, that is a treasonous party. All of these individuals that are against the heroic Israeli soldier and in favor of the Israeli informer are basically trying to create a lynch mob atmosphere against any Israeli soldier now that will defend the Jewish people. You're not allowed now to kill Arab terrorists. You're not allowed to defend yourself and defend your fellow soldiers and defend Israeli Jews against Arab terrorists that come with knives to stab and kill Jews. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So this Jew, a good Jew, named Gilad Hadari, who is a Jew that lives in Alon Moreh, which is in Judea and Samaria, so he lives in the Jewish settlements. And he's a Jew that is a political activist, a good political activist, a good loyal Jew. He wrote a Facebook page criticizing the informing, ratting, snitching Israeli major. He criticized him and was defending, of course, the Israeli soldier who's on trial, the heroic Israeli soldier who's on trial. He was arrested. He was just arrested. And his home was searched and his computers were seized. The computers of his children and his wife were seized. The children and his wife had nothing to do with this. First of all, the fact that he's arrested for criticizing an Israeli army major, for criticizing an IDF major who is a snitch and a rat. You're not allowed to criticize people? You're not allowed to criticize the behavior of a lying snitch who, in order to promote his career as an Israeli officer, is lying in his testimony to an Israeli court. You're not allowed to criticize that? Now, this very anti-democratic behavior, of course, is something that you would not see. I don't think you would see this in the United States. We haven't come to the point yet where Barack Hussein Obama and Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, and the other animals in the United States, they're also animals. The people who run the United States, the leaders like Obama, are also a bunch of animals. But they do not yet have the ability to arrest people for daring to criticize something they don't like. If they criticize a public official or they criticize, can't get arrested for that in the United States, but in Israel you can get arrested. In Israel there's a law where there are laws where you can be arrested for criticizing, for instance, an Israeli politician. It's called insulting a public servant or a public official. If you insult the public official or public servant, if you criticize an Israeli politician, you can actually be arrested for this. And people have been arrested for it. That's a democracy. And the truth is, Israel is a democracy with offering not only democratic rights, but giving a license to kill if you're an Arab. If you're an Arab Muslim Nazi who wants to exterminate the Jewish people, you have all the rights. You have the right to go out. You have a license to kill people. You have a license to do anything you want in Israel. If you're a self-hating Jewish traitor, if you're a Jewish rat, a Jewish traitor, a Jewish snitch, a Jewish leftist, some self-hating Jew, or a Jew on the phony right, and the phony right in Israel is just as bad as the left, if that's the type of Jew you are, you also have all the rights in the world. They'll never arrest you. They'll never touch you. But if you are a good and loyal Jew and you dare to speak up against the injustice that's taking place in the land of Israel, they'll arrest you. They'll put you in prison. They'll seize your computers. They'll seize the computers of your children. They'll break into your home and do terrible things to you. So Israel is not a democracy for good and loyal Jews, for Jewish dissidents. It's not. It never has been. That's why they banned Moreno Verabenu Haramir Kehana, Zatzal, when he was running for the Knesset. When he ran for the Israeli parliament, he was on the verge of winning 12 to 15 seats, which would have been, there were 120 seats in the Israeli Knesset. He would have won more than 10% of all the seats in the Knesset in the election that was coming up. They just banned him and said, you're not allowed to run. You're racist, you're not allowed to run, your party is banned, you're banned. That's democracy. The same time that they allow Arab parties to run in Israel that openly call for the destruction of the Jewish state, openly call for genocide against the Jewish people, openly praise Hezbollah, Hamas, openly praise all the Arab terrorist groups, Fatah, the PLO, openly praise mass murderers of Jews in the Knesset. In other words, you have Arab terrorists sitting in the Israeli Knesset, in the Israeli parliament, and they're not banned. They're allowed to do anything they want. They're allowed to break any law, incite violence, praise genocide, praise terrorist attacks. That's all permitted. But Rabbi Kehana, who simply said that we have to have a program to remove Israel's Arab enemies from the land of Israel, that we have to have a program to remove them, he was banned from running for the Knesset. He wasn't allowed to run for the Knesset, and eventually he was murdered because of that, because of the banning. So that's the type of evil that we have going on now in the land of Israel. It's evil. It's evil. We have an establishment that's evil. We have leaders that are evil. We have a media that's evil. Immoral, evil, cruel people who are cruel to their fellow Jews and who give everything over to Israel's Arab Muslim Nazi enemies. Of course, we just did a video in Hebrew supporting this Israeli Jew that was just arrested, just as we've supported the heroic Israeli soldier who killed the Arab terrorist. Our movement is supporting and will be in the forefront of supporting good Jews that are under attack. So you should know that when you help JTF and support JTF, you are helping those that are standing up for truth and justice and righteousness in the land of Israel. We're proud to stand with those Jewish dissidents. In America, we can do it. In America, they can't arrest me for saying what I'm saying now in America. In America, you're allowed to openly speak about these things. I don't know if that'll continue, if that'll last forever. Who knows? There are people who want to take away free speech rights in America. But we still have those rights in America. And we still have the right and the duty and the responsibility, Jews and righteous Gentiles, to say the fight of good Jews for justice in Israel is our fight. Their fight is our fight. Their battle is our battle. Their cause is our cause. And that's what JTF proudly says and proudly stands for. I also want to speak about Donald Trump. Now, we've spoken about this subject before. Donald Trump is more pro-gay than Hillary Clinton, and more dangerous on the so-called gay issue than Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, Hillary Clinton is terrible on this issue. She supports the entire militant homosexual agenda in every respect. So she's terrible on this issue. There's no question about that. But Donald Trump is worse. And he himself says that he's more pro-gay and more for the gays than Hillary Clinton. And he really is. He really is. For instance, did you know that in the year 2000, Donald Trump, in an interview with The Advocate is one of these homosexual magazines, in an interview with The Advocate, Donald Trump actually criticized the Clintons for not being pro-gay enough. He was more pro-gay in the interview than the Clintons were. The Clintons were still in the White House in the year 2000. It was their last year in the White House. And Donald Trump was criticizing them for not pushing the gay agenda enough, for not being more pro-gay. And it's not just, it's not just the interviews that he did then. He is running around on the campaign trail right now, promoting the gay lifestyle, talking about how wonderful it is, talking about the so-called gay and lesbian community. What community? This is a community? A community based upon sex? It happens to be a sex, it's the type of sex that the Bible and God define as an abomination. That's what it says in the Bible. It's what the Bible says. And based upon that, they have a community? Donald Trump is legitimizing the homosexual lifestyle among Republicans and conservatives. He's turning this into something noble, into something wonderful. It's now noble and wonderful to be gay. It's now noble and wonderful to run around and engage in this type of activity because according to Donald Trump it is, and Donald Trump is pushing this agenda. This will be the downfall of the United States of America and the downfall of Western civilization. God destroys every country and every empire and every nation that justifies this type of behavior. This type of behavior always brings with it destruction. We saw it with the Roman Empire, the Greeks, the Persians, the Assyrians, the Mesopotamians, the ancient Egyptians. We saw what happened to their countries, their empires, their cultures just disappeared completely. That's the price that'll be paid if people justify and promote this type of lifestyle. And Donald Trump, he is going around praising this lifestyle, defending this lifestyle, promoting this lifestyle. That's very, very dangerous. Now, Hillary Clinton also praises and promotes this. That's true. She's also part of this. But there's a difference. When Donald Trump does it, it has more credibility on the right, with people on the right who stupidly and foolishly respect this clown, this charlatan, this fraud, this demagogue, Donald Trump. The people who foolishly respect him, when he starts praising it and defending it, they take that more seriously, and they are more subject to being influenced by what Donald Trump is saying. We already see it. We already see so-called conservative websites and so-called conservative talk show hosts following Donald Trump's lead in praising the gays and in talking about how wonderful their community is and how much we have to reach out to them. It's really, really a grim situation that we have. What a shame that we didn't have a principled, moral, wonderful leader like Ted Cruz as the Republican nominee. God willing, hopefully Donald Trump will be defeated in November, and then Ted Cruz can run in 2020. Hopefully, I think Ted Cruz will be one of the front runners in 2020 if that happens for the Republican nomination. Hopefully that will happen, God willing. If Donald Trump is defeated in November, Ted Cruz can run in 2020. Now, you may say, well, but Donald Trump says that he's against gay marriage, and Hillary Clinton supports gay marriage. Not true. Not true. Even on that issue, Donald Trump says that the Supreme Court decision ordering that we all have to accept gay marriage, shoving this down our throats, that Supreme Court decision now makes gay marriage the law of the land. That's the law of the land. We have to accept it. It can't be changed. It's the law of the land. We've got to accept it. That's what Donald Trump has said. So his position on gay marriage is the same as Hillary Clinton's position. Same position. No difference. Both of them say it's the law of the land. Both of them say we have to accept it. What is amazing is how these hypocritical, two-faced, phony people who call themselves evangelical Christians are now falling in line behind Donald Trump's candidacy. It was so disgusting to see people who pretend to be evangelicals, who call themselves evangelicals, who are just phony, two-faced hypocrites like Jerry Falwell Jr. and Sarah Palin endorsing Donald Trump. Of course, Ben Carson, what a phony he is. These Ben Carson, who said that his goals are the same as the goals of Al Sharpton, the racist and the anti-Semite, they all endorse Donald Trump. But now you have other people, because Donald Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee, you have other people like Ralph Reed, who is another complete phony, falling in line behind the Trump candidacy. Trump is not a lesser of the evils against Hillary Clinton. Not at all. On some issues, Trump is even worse than Hillary Clinton. On many major issues, he's even worse than Hillary Clinton. There are some issues where she's worse than he is. And on many other issues, he's worse than her. So there's nothing to be gained by electing someone like this, by electing someone whose positions on the issues are so horrific, are so terrible. Can you imagine a president, a Republican president, spending the next 4 years, and I'm saying 4 years because I don't think he'd be reelected, he'd be such a disaster, I don't think he would ever be reelected, but spending the next 4 years promoting, justifying, legitimizing in the eyes of so-called conservatives, the so-called gay lifestyle? Can you imagine having this in the White House? It's one thing when Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama promote the gay lifestyle. Okay, we know that they support the gay agenda. But conservatives hate Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. True conservatives hate them. True conservatives and true evangelical Christians and Orthodox Jews and devout Catholics hate Clinton and Obama. So when Clinton and Obama preach the gay agenda to us, it doesn't affect the tens of millions of moral Americans who want no part of this and who oppose this, and who are the only hope for America's survival, morally and spiritually and otherwise. So when Clinton and Obama tell us about this, it doesn't have the same effect by any means. But when Donald Trump, as a so-called Republican, who many foolish people admire and respect, I mean, there are millions of people that admire and respect him. Most Americans hate him, according to the polls. Most Americans hate Donald Trump, and that's why I believe he's going to be defeated. But there are millions of people who worship Donald Trump and every word that he says. And these were people who, generally speaking, did not support the gay agenda before. And now he's convincing them that this is an important part of America, and that we have to support the gays, and we have to support their agenda, and we have to support their so-called rights. And let me say something about gay rights. You can't make a civil right out of a moral wrong. You can't do that. And so we have to be loyal to the principles that the Founding Fathers intended this country to be founded on, the principles of the Bible. And this also affects Israel, because many Israelis unfortunately imitate the worst aspects of American culture. And so when you have a situation where American culture then begins to universally talk about how wonderful it is to be gay, this has an adverse effect upon Israel as well. So those of us that are worried about what happens in Israel, what happens in America influences and affects what happens in Israel. It's so hard to find people who stand up for the truth, whether in Israel, the first story we told you about, defending the good Jews in Israel that are under attack, or whether it's in America, standing up against the phony politicians in this country like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton that are destroying America from within. It's so hard to find groups that will tell us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth nowadays. Thank God, JTF does tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We need your help. We need your help to help the good Jews in Israel. And we need your help also to expose the truth about what's going on in America. The more help we get from you, the more we can do. Checks, money orders, cash donations sent to our post office box, it does make a difference, because our downfall is the fact that we don't have the resources we need to really spread this message on a massive scale to tens of millions of people in America and to all of Israeli Jewry. If we had a real budget, we could reach all the people of Israel with our message, and we could reach many Americans with our message, many more Americans with our message as well. As it is, we're reaching people. I mean, we're reaching hundreds of thousands of people. But in totality, in the totality of our videos and everything else, we reach hundreds of thousands of people, in both in Israel and in the United States. But that's not enough. We need to reach far more. And so let's work together as a team. When you help us financially, it does make a difference. It makes a big difference. If you prefer to help us because for convenience sake, instead of sending a check, a money order, or cash donation to the post office box, if you prefer to do it online with your credit card, you can do that as well. You just go to our Hebrew main page, hayamin.org, and on our Hebrew main page, hayamin.org, you click on the donate button in English. There's one word in English on the Hebrew page. On top, you see the word donate in English. You click on that, and in several minutes you can conveniently help us. We need your help, and we need you to help promote our videos, and we need you to be active on our main page, the JTF.org, great main page that Shlomo does. Let's work together as a team. Let's fight together for what's right. Let's defend the good Jewish heroes in Israel. And let's fight to expose the truth about what's happening in America. Together, we can work to make this a better world. Until next week for JTF, this is Chaim ben Pesach. Shalom.